Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev. Jaya Srinivas Govinda, Jaya Srinivas Govinda, Srinivas Govinda, Jaya Srinivas Govinda. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The very scriptures sing of his character. The Lord and Master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Samsthapakacharya, Savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जाए. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जाए. मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाए. नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जाए. जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जाए. गंगामय यमुनामय की जाए. वृंदे देवी तुलसी महारानी की जाए. समवेत भक्त वृंद की जाए. हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जाए. कृष्ण बलराम की जाए. गौर निताय की जाए. लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हदेव अनंत देव की जाए. श्रीनिवास गोविंद की जाए. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Anantadev Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Anantadev Jaya Srinivas Govinda Jaya Srinivas Govinda Srinivas Govinda Jaya Srinivas Govinda Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajakacharya Stottara Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Samsthapakacharya Savior of the whole world Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadresho Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is entitled The Killing of the Demon Putana. Text number 39. Both are given together, but we will chant only 39. Payamsi Yasam Apibat Payamsi Yasam Apibat Putra Sneha Snutani Alam Putra Sneha Snutanyalam Bhagavan Devaki Putraha Bhagavan Devaki Putraha Kaivalyadi Akhila Pradaha Kaivalyadi Akhila Pradaha Payamsi Yasam Apibad Putra Sneha Snutanyalam Bhagavan Devaki Putraha Kaivalyadyakila Pradaha. Payamsi Yasam Apibat Putra Sneha Snutanyalam Bhagavan Devaki Putraha Kaivalyadakila Pradaha Payamsi Yasam Apibat Putra Sneha Snutanyalam Bhagavan Devaki Putraha Kaivalyadakila Pradaha Siyasam Apibat Putra Sneha Sutanyalam Bhagavan Devaki Putraha Kaivalyadakila Pradaha. Matajis, let us give chance to Matajis. Vayamsi Yasam Apibat Putra Sneha Snutanyalam Bhagavan Devaki Putraha Kaivalyadakila Pradaha. I'll read the 40th verse for myself, then we will recite the synonyms and the translation. 40th verse. Tasam aviratam Krishne kurvatinam sutekshanam na punah kalpate rajan samsaro ajnana sambhavaha. The synonyms, please repeat. Payamsi, milk coming from the body. Yasam, of all of whom. Apibat, Lord Krishna drank. Putra Sneha Snutani, that milk coming from the bodies of the gopis, not artificially, but because of material affection. I'm sorry. Because of maternal affection. Can never be material. It's completely wrong to say material affection. I'm sorry. Alam, sufficiently. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devaki Putraha, who appeared as the son of Devaki. Kaivalya Adi, like liberation or merging into the Brahman effulgence. Akhila Pradaha, the bestower of all similar blessings. Tasam, of all of them, of all the gopis. Aviratam, constantly. Krishna, unto Lord Krishna. Kurvatinam, making. Suta ikshanam, as a mother looks upon her child. Na, never. Punaha, again. Kalpate, can be imagined. Rajan, O King Parikshit. Samsaraha, the material bondage of birth and death. Ajnana Sambhavaha, which is to be accepted by foolish persons ignorantly trying to become happy. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. The Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, is the bestower of many benedictions, including liberation or kaivalya, or oneness with the Brahman effulgence. For that personality of Godhead, the gopis always felt maternal love, and Krishna sucked their breasts with full satisfaction. Therefore, because of their relationship as mother and son, although the gopis were engaged in various family activities, one should never think that they returned to this material world after leaving their bodies. Please repeat this translation after me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the bestower of many benedictions, including liberation or kaivalya, or oneness with the Brahman effulgence. For that personality of Godhead, the gopis always felt maternal love, and Krishna sucked their breasts with full satisfaction. Therefore, because of their relationship as mother and son, although the gopis were engaged in various family activities, one should never think that they return to this material world after leaving their bodies. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The advantage of Krishna consciousness is described herein. Krishna consciousness gradually develops on the transcendental platform. One may think of Krishna as the Supreme Personality. One may think of Krishna as a Supreme Master. One may think of Krishna as a Supreme Friend. One may think of Krishna as a Supreme Son, or one may think of Krishna as a Supreme Conjugal Lover. If one is connected with Krishna in any of these transcendental relationships, the course of one's material life is understood to have already ended. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. For such devotees, going back home, back to Godhead is guaranteed. Na punah kalpate rajan samsaro ajnana sambhavaha. This verse also guarantees that devotees who constantly think of Krishna in a particular relationship will never return to this material world. In this material world of samsara, there are the same relationships. One thinks, here is my son, or here is my wife, or here is my lover, or here is my friend. But these relationships are temporary illusions. Ajnana sambhavaha, such a consciousness awakens in ignorance. But when the same relationships awaken in Krishna consciousness, one's spiritual life is revived and one is guaranteed to return home back to Godhead. Even though the gopis who were friends of Rohini and Mother Yashoda and who allowed their breasts to be sucked by Krishna were not directly Krishna's mothers, they all had the same chance as Rohini and Yashoda to go back to Godhead and act as Krishna's mothers-in-law, servants, and so on. The word samsara refers to attachment for one's body, home, husband or wife, and children. But although the gopis and all the other inhabitants of Vrindavan had the same affection and attachment for husband and home, their central affection was for Krishna in some transcendental relationship. And therefore they were guaranteed to be promoted to Goloka Vrindavana in the next life to live with Krishna eternally in happiness. To live with Krishna eternally in spiritual happiness. The easiest way to attain spiritual elevation, to be liberated from this material world, and to go back home, back to Godhead, is recommended by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Krishnera samsara kara chhadi anachar. One should give up all sinful activities and remain in the family of Krishna. Then one's liberation is guaranteed. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanishalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracha Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. I want very hot water. Until what time I can speak now? It's 8:23. 9 o'clock? Okay. So the 10th canto is a very special canto because Shukadeva Goswami is, on the request of Parikshit Maharaj, going to exclusively describe in detail Krishna's pastimes. So far till the 9th canto, he has been describing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord in his various incarnations. And towards the end of the 9th canto, when he is describing the Yadu dynasty, the descendants of the Yadu dynasty, Time described Krishna as one of the descendants of the Yadu dynasty. And Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudeva, and he performed some pastimes. So the last chapter of the 9th canto, do you remember the title? The title itself is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that chapter is exclusively dedicated for describing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as soon as Parikshit Maharaj heard that, because he is a pure devotee of Krishna, he became very, very inquisitive to learn in detail about Krishna's pastimes. So that is very special, because in the earlier cantos, even though Shukadeva Goswami was describing the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Supreme Lord, Parikshit never asked, please describe in detail about the pastimes. Also, we should remember, Parikshit had just 7 days' time to prepare himself for quitting the body. And therefore, he was simply ready to hear Shukadeva Goswami speak, whatever. And even before Shukadeva Goswami arrived in that place where Parikshit had retired to prepare himself for quitting the body, even before that, before the Shukadeva Goswami arrived, he was requesting all the saintly persons that kindly sing the glories of Vishnu and let my mind become absorbed at the lotus feet of Vishnu. But when Shukadeva Goswami came, he did not request Shukadeva Goswami, please describe the pastimes of Supreme Lord or glorify Vishnu. He never asked that. It's very interesting. He asked, does anyone remember? What did he ask? The first question he asked Shukadeva Goswami. What is the duty of a person who is about to die? Which means that he is not forgotten or he is not neglectful of the fact that he has got to die within 7 days. So such a very conscientious devotee or person, why is he asking describe Krishna's pastimes in detail? That is the speciality of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Krishna's pastimes are described everywhere. In all the Vedic literature, there is only descriptions of Krishna. Krishna's activities, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's personality, Krishna's everything about Krishna. That is the subject matter of the Vedic literature. But in the Bhagavatam, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, it is the Vedic literature which exclusively is meant for describing Krishna. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls Bhagavatam as Krishna Samhita. Samhita means Vedic literature. And Bhagavatam is that Vedic literature which exclusively describes Krishna. Exclusively describes Krishna. So therefore, even though Parikshit is conscious and aware that he has to very soon quit the body, and Shukadeva Goswami, 9 cantos, he has described about the various incarnations, their activities, their wonderful transcendental qualities. But still, Parikshit Maharaj wants to hear exclusively about Krishna. Why? That's because all the other forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna are specific forms for specific functions, for specific purposes. But Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and every living being has got a very specific relationship with Krishna. Every living entity has got a specific relationship with Krishna. And this is explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. What does he say in the Bhagavad Gita? He tells Arjuna in the 4th chapter, beginning of 4th chapter, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manurikshva kave bravit. He begins the 4th chapter without Arjuna asking a question. He continues from the 3rd chapter. 3rd chapter he described Karma Yoga. And Arjuna, after hearing about Karma Yoga, he asked, why is it that sometimes a person is forced to act sinfully knowingly, even though he wants to avoid? But something happens and he does commit sinful activity unwillingly, even knowingly that it is sinful, and he knows he should not act in that way. But why is he kind of forced? Baladivanyojitaha. So the question is about lust. Krishna says it is only because of lust, which burns like a conflagration and which destroys the urge for self-realization, which kills the Krishna conscious interest. So that lust is the cause. Then briefly Krishna describes about lust in few verses and completes the chapter, completes this answer about the cause for somebody being forced to act sinfully. It's lust. The 4th chapter, Krishna continues to speak, and he wants to impress upon all of us that this lust has to be conquered by all conditioned souls to go back to Godhead. So that he explains in the beginning of the 4th chapter, that I spoke this imperishable science of yoga. Imam vivasvate yogam. This yoga means, Prabhupada translates very carefully the word for meaning. Yoga here means the science of one's relationship with the Supreme. Other than Prabhupada, nobody else has given this meaning for the word yoga being used by Krishna in the first verse of the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. By nobody, I mean nobody in English language. So many people have translated in English language. But nobody has given this meaning. It's very special. Krishna declares that every living being is my own part and parcel in the 4th chapter. Sarva bhutani asheshani drakshasi atmani ato mayi. All living beings are my part and parcel. They are in me and they belong to me and they are mine. Ato mayi. Krishna says that in the 4th chapter. This is a transcendental knowledge in the 4th chapter, 35th verse of the 4th chapter. So, Krishna reveals in the Bhagavad Gita, every living being is mine. And Prabhupada says, the yoga system described in this chapter, at the end of the 4th chapter, Prabhupada says in the last purport of the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the yoga system described in this chapter is called Sanatana Yoga. Sanatana Yoga. Never heard of this. Nobody will say Sanatana Yoga. Where is this Sanatana Yoga? We heard of Karma Yoga, we heard of Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga even. But where is Sanatana Yoga coming from? This is called Parampara understanding. This is not Prabhupada's fabrication or concoction. This is actually the Parampara system of receiving transcendental knowledge. Prabhupada explains that he has presented Bhagavad Gita as it is. As it is means as he has received in Parampara system, the knowledge, the understanding. The yoga system instructed in this chapter is called Sanatana Yoga, or eternal activities performed by the living entity. Eternal activities. Yoga means action. Sanatana means eternal. So Sanatana Yoga means eternal activities performed by the living being. And Krishna says every living being is mine, means there is a relationship of every living being with Krishna. Now, come back to what we were discussing in the 10th canto. Why Parikshit is asking, kindly describe Krishna's pastimes in detail, because it concerns every living being. Concerns every living being. Whereas the other incarnations are for specific functions, for specific devotees, is meant for a certain type of service a living entity renders to the Supreme Lord, etc., etc. But as far as Krishna is concerned, the original personality of Godhead, everyone has a relationship of love with him. So Krishna is special. Therefore, Krishna is called Akhila Rasamrita Sindhu. You have heard the name of the book written by Srila Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This Bhakti Rasa, mellow taste of pure devotional service to Krishna, has got many, many, many varieties of rasa. And all the varieties of rasa, Krishna is the reservoir. Akhila Rasamrita Sindhu. And Krishna is an ocean, not just an ocean, unlimited ocean of varieties of this bhakti rasa. Because every living being is individual and unique. And every living being has got a very specific relationship with Krishna. And Krishna accommodates. Krishna is the only personality of Godhead who accommodates all varieties of relationships with, loving relationships with the living beings. That's how you see in Vrindavan. Everyone is a devotee of Krishna. Of course, the cowherd boys, the cowherd girls, the cowherd men, the cowherd women, the cows, the calves, the bees, the peacocks, the monkeys, the trees, the water, the land. Everyone, everything, everybody is a pure devotee of Krishna. And what kind of devotee? A devotee who is filled with love for Krishna, that dominates in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, love dominates. So much so that Krishna relishes that love of his devotees in varieties, that he wants to forget himself and he wants his devotees to forget that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is a special thing about this relationship of the devotees with Krishna. Vrindavan, nobody cares for the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. They know that. They all know Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But for the sake of serving Krishna, for Krishna's satisfaction, they want Krishna to relish. They simply are interested in how can we please Krishna. How everyone, the whole creation, the whole existence is only got one activity. What is that? How to please Krishna, how to please Krishna, how to please Krishna, how to please Krishna. Just the existence. This is life. This is the entire sum total of entire existence. How to please Krishna. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj is asking, kindly describe Krishna's pastimes in detail. Because Krishna, in his pastimes, he demonstrates. When he comes to this material world, he comes with a mission to attract all his parts and parcels to go back to Godhead, his personal abode, to enjoy with him in their relation, in their loving relationship with him. And Krishna, even though he is full in himself, he is completely perfect. He has got his devotees, he has got his internal potency, he has got his devotees, he has got his servants, he has got his all varieties of devotees serving him very nicely. But still, he is missing something. What is he missing? He is missing the living beings who are in the material world, his own parts and parcels. And he wants them. Therefore, he makes all kinds of arrangements how to reclaim these living entities in the material world who are forgetful of Krishna, who are lost in this material world, who are making independent plans, who are suffering in separation from Krishna, Krishna feels for these living beings. And he makes all, the very purpose of this creation, why Krishna has to create, he did not create this material world. But he creates only for the sake of these living entities. And he creates, makes all arrangements. He sends his most confidential servants like Prabhupada from the spiritual world. And he himself comes personally also. And this is going on continuously. It's going on. So when he comes, he wants to demonstrate what are the kind of wonderful pastimes that are going on in his personal abode, in his relationship with his various devotees. He demonstrates that. So he comes to attract, he comes to reclaim these living entities. And therefore Parikshit Maharaj is telling Shukadeva Goswami, kindly describe in detail. Why in detail? Because there is varieties of pastimes Krishna is engaged in with his varieties of devotees. Krishna is engaged. So therefore it is important. If you go through the different descriptions of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord and the various incarnations by Shukadeva Goswami, some pastimes he just describes in 1/4 of a verse. That's all. But then Parikshit Maharaj doesn't ask, please tell me in detail. You just mentioned it. No. But Krishna's pastimes, he mentioned in brief, 9th canto, 24th chapter, I think, the last chapter of the 9th canto. Parikshit Maharaj says, no, this is not enough. Please describe in detail. And therefore, in the 10th canto, this is the biggest canto, 90 chapters, 90. And in the beginning of the 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada has written some very significant facts about this 10th canto. He says there are 90 chapters in the 10th canto. And he says each chapter, what does it contain? Of course, the beginning of the chapter, there is a chapter summary that is there. But in the beginning itself of the 10th canto, he tells briefly what is there in each canto. Each chapter. Summary of the 10th canto. A short description of each chapter of this 10th canto is as follows. This is Prabhupada's own words. The first chapter, which is 69 verses, he even gives the number of verses in each chapter. He's not done it for any other part of the Bhagavatam. Okay? The first chapter, which is 69 verses, describes Maharaj Parikshit's eagerness to learn about the incarnation of Lord Krishna, and it also tells how Kamsa killed the 6 sons of Devaki because of his fear of being killed by her 8th child. In one sentence, he just describes first chapter, then second chapter, third chapter, like that. All the 90 chapters he has described. Okay? And then, when he begins the first chapter, again he tells the first chapter in summary. Why? Because Shukadeva Goswami has described the 10th canto in detail. And among the various commentaries written by Acharyas, the maximum number of commentaries are on the 10th canto. So much so that Sanatan Goswami has given commentary on the entire Bhagavatam in the form of the scripture called Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Okay? but he's separately written Dashama Tippani, a special commentary on the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. Sanatana Goswami has written. So like this, 10th canto is most important because of the detailed description by Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami is the greatest authority on Bhagavatam. And even in the Bhagavatam, he's describing the 10th canto, which is the biggest canto, the detailed description of Krishna's pastimes. Okay, I have 10 minutes more. Okay. So briefly about this verse now, what we have read today, that Shukadeva Goswami is describing the extraordinary pastime of Krishna killing this demoness Putana. Throughout the Bhagavatam, there are descriptions of different incarnations killing the demons. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkratam. So Krishna comes for three purposes. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, to kill the demons, to protect the devotees, and to re-establish the principles of dharma. But here, he's not just describing the killing of demon Putana. He is describing something very, very special about Krishna killing the demons. In general, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in any incarnation, if he kills anybody, he'll only kill, of course, demons. The demons get liberation. Anyway, the demons would have died. They cannot live forever. The material body itself is got limited duration of life. And these foolish demons, as if that the limited duration of life itself is not enough. They go and further commit sinful activities to reduce further the duration of life. And what is that called? When we take Charanamrit, we're supposed to say one prayer. Akala Mrityu Haranam. Akala Mrityu Haranam means by drinking Charanamrit, you are going to be free from untimely death. And that untimely death is the characteristic of all these demons who are killed by Krishna. All the demons killed by Krishna are having untimely death. Akala Mrityu. Why? Because they have shortened their duration of life, which is anyway limited. That also they have shortened it by committing horrible, sinful activities. Sinful activities. And Krishna feels for his parts and parcels. The demons are also his parts and parcels. They are his children. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiyaha tasam brahma mahadyoni raham bija pradapita. I am the seed-giving father of all living beings and all species of life. As Prabhupada says in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, these demons, they go on committing sin after sin after sin. And Krishna says, such sinful people, I cast them into, they are going to suffer repeated birth and death. And I cast them into abominable species of life. They take birth again and again and again, suffer. So that happens because the demons are openly, directly, in every possible way, they violate the laws of karma. And they are engaged in abominable activities. And they are totally unmindful of the consequences. So Krishna feels for them and he wants to stop their sinful activities. So first thing he does is he terminates. So at least if Krishna stops their sinful activities in this way, then they will get another life. And the characteristic of getting another body or another life in this material world is we forget about the previous life's activities. We forget about it. So at least the demons will forget about all their plans for committing more and more sinful activities. It will put reactions. See how kind Krishna is. He stops their sinful activities so that they don't accumulate more sinful reactions. And then he also purifies the existing sinful reactions which they have anyway got to suffer. That also he purifies and liberates them. That Krishna does in any incarnation. All incarnations he does that. But in Krishna's incarnation, in his original form he comes, he descends to this material world, avatar. So he is described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as avatari. He is not avatara, he is avatari. He is the source of all incarnations. And he is the original personality of Godhead who assumes different forms for the sake of his pastimes, for the sake of his devotees, for the sake of receiving service from different categories of devotees, for his different functions in the material world. He assumes different forms. So, these descriptions are there in the 9 cantos of Bhagavatam, but 10th canto, only Krishna, original personality of Godhead. Original personality of Godhead. And detailed description, particularly the extraordinary mercy Krishna bestows upon the living beings when he descends as Krishna in his original form. Like even a demoness like Putana was engaged in killing all kinds of, all small children, infant children. They're totally helpless when they're just born. And they got a very loving and caring mother who will totally take care of the child in its helpless condition. Lovingly provide for the child, protect the child, give everything to make the child happy. And this demoness Putana goes and kills such small children. So what worst kind of hell is awaiting Putana? You can just imagine. The worst kind of hell is awaiting Putana. And for millions and billions of lifetimes she has to suffer. And that Putana, Krishna is so kind that he's killing her. And when she's killed by Krishna, she is purified. Okay. But then Krishna also does one more thing. That he is not looking what are all the bad qualities of Putana because of which, she has to suffer in so many ways. Anyway, he doesn't look at that because he purifies of all sinful reactions. But then he's looking, is there even one small trace of any good quality? Any one trace of any good quality? And if it is there, definitely Krishna will reward accordingly. But here, this Putana doesn't have any good quality. But Krishna, considering that let me see if there is any good quality in even Putana. Actually, there is no good quality. But she came to kill Krishna by smearing her breast with poison, and on the plea of feeding her own breast milk to Krishna. She wanted to kill Krishna. But what is Krishna considering? She came to me, approached me lovingly as a mother. And how is that love demonstrated? She fed her own breast milk to me. Who will feed a child breast milk? Only the mother. Nobody else will feed. So she came to me as a mother and lovingly fed her own breast milk. Therefore, I want to give her the position of my own mother in my personal abode. So, Uddhava says, while Vidura asked him a question in the beginning of the 3rd canto, it is described, who can be a more compassionate personality than Krishna, who awarded the position of mother while liberating this demoness, even to such a witch, horrible witch as Putana? Who can be more compassionate than Krishna? You cannot find somebody more compassionate than Krishna. And that is being described here. If Putana could get so much from Krishna, then what to speak of the devotees of Krishna who always were engaged in various types of services to Krishna. 24 hours always thinking Krishna, 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 Krishna. So what about their position? So one should not foolishly think, as Prabhupada says here, although the gopis were engaged in various family activities, one should never think that they return to this material world after leaving their bodies. We have warned, no? That you take into Krishna consciousness, but gradually you should give up all your material engagements and become fully engaged in Krishna conscious activities. Then you are eligible for going back to Godhead. Okay? But here is something very interesting. It is said that even though the gopis were engaged in various family activities, still one should never think that they return to this material world because of all those activities they were doing, other than the activities directly in relationship with Krishna. Other than that, they were also doing so many other family activities. So one should not think they return to this material world. No. So the next verse will describe that very nicely. No, there's no next verse describing that. Okay, here in the verse itself it is said, that Krishna is the bestower of many benedictions, including liberation or oneness with the Brahman effulgence. For that personality of Godhead, the gopis always felt maternal love. Even though Krishna is not everyone's son, he is the son of Mother Yashoda, Devaki, okay. But all the elderly gopis felt maternal love for Krishna, and to actually satisfy them, Krishna performed the Brahma Vimohana Leela. The Brahma Vimohana Leela, Yashoda in Vrindavan, everybody had the desire, I want to feed Krishna, like Yashoda is feeding. So Krishna gave them an opportunity. Krishna gave them an opportunity by performing the Brahma Vimohana Leela. He disguised himself and went to them as, I am your son. But the disguise was just part of his Leela. He actually accepts their service, that they want to feed Krishna their own breast milk, because they got love for Krishna like Krishna's own mother. That is why Krishna performed that Leela. So, here it is said, because they always felt maternal love, Krishna sucked their breasts with full full satisfaction. With full satisfaction. An ordinary child, if the mother feeds the child is very happy and it is feeling very secure and very comfortable and very nice. But if somebody else in the place of the mother tries to comfort the child, tries to feed the child will never feel satisfaction. Child will never feel satisfaction. All mothers have experience of this. They know this. So that's a fact. Child will never be comfortable with anybody other than its own mother. Now, what about these gopis? They have their own children and they have love for their children. But something special is they feel more love for Krishna in a maternal relationship as their mother, as Krishna's mother. And Krishna accepts that. So he sucked their breasts with full satisfaction. Not that Yashoda is my real mother. You're all like, okay, you have some feeling of motherly affection for me because you're all mothers. So you naturally have motherly affection. Okay, fine. We see that. Even in our material life, we see that. But Krishna did not consider them second class. Yashoda is first class and others are second class. No. They are also equally my mother because of their love for Krishna. That is Krishna. You see? So Krishna is very special. Even among all the other forms of personality of Godhead, Krishna is very special. So I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Ragana Raghunathan Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vikakanitam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.